Several years back, at the early stage of my career, there was my colleague who used to create a fake sense of urgency for any task, especially the ones where he had to collaborate with other colleagues. In fact, many a times, until those tasks were completed, he used to keep following up and make life difficult for a lot of individuals or colleagues, including me. Now, this particular colleague is a very good friend of mine. So, my dear friend, I'm sure you're watching this particular video. So, please excuse me for it. However, there is this particular turnaround as well when I told him as to what he needs to do and not create that fake sense of urgency, that he ensured that he changed his behavior. So, he used to be so over proactive that in case there was a certain task where he needed my support, he used to actually come to my workstation, sit there and not leave till the work was actually done. And many a times I realized that these tasks are not really urgent. However, he created that sense of urgency which used to bolster the amount of pressure on me or any of our colleagues. Thankfully for my colleague, who is now my friend, he turned around and now he doesn't engage in this. And even at that point of time, when I'd explained to him about it, he ensured that he worked upon it and changed his behavior. However, this is a reality. Many of us, or possibly people who we work with, create a fake sense of urgency. For them, everything is urgent. Now, there may be tasks which are actually not so urgent. However, in the focus of getting things done at the earliest due to whatever reason, they ensure that they create that fake sense of urgency which causes issues for others in the team. Now, I understand and I know that many of us face this challenge, and I would share with you 5 steps or 5 methods whereby you can ensure that you deal with this particular situation of dealing or managing with fake sense of urgency at your workplace. So the first point is always differentiate between what is urgent and what is important or not so important. In case someone trusts a certain task on you, you will need to identify and understand whether this is actually urgent or this is important or this is not so important, and accordingly work it around. At times, this fake sense of urgency may be created by your boss. However, at your end, whatever possible you need to do to create the differentiation, you will have to do it. Otherwise, life is going to get really difficult. Like I had a tough time with the former colleague of mine. Now, the second point is, while dealing with the fake sense of urgency, never be reactive. I've observed many of us actually get reactive. Some of us get agitated, or some people get really despondent. So whatever is the situation, you will have to handle it in a cool and calm way. You don't need to actually get reactive, because once you get reactive, the situation may blow up or it may even create issues for you. So be as cool and calm and composed as possible and try to deal with the situation with a level-headed scenario. The third element is to prioritize. So understanding what you need to do now, not going directly into what someone tells you is urgent, understanding what is urgent and accordingly prioritizing, because many a times we will be given tasks which others tell that it's urgent. However, it may not be that urgent if we analyze it. So prioritizing tasks is going to be extremely vital, and that's going to be important for our well-being and our happiness as well. The fourth point in this methods or this list of methods is you need to know how to say no. Many of us do not want to say no because we would be perceived as being non-competent, or possibly we are not comfortable saying no, especially to our bosses or our seniors. However, the fact of the matter is, what is most important to us is our well-being, peace of mind and happiness. In case we don't learn to say no, it may actually have a very negative impact in terms of our career as well as our life. So somewhere, get out of the thought of what others think about you. Do not get too much analytical into questioning your own competence, or possibly having challenges to give feedback or inputs to your boss or superior when there is a false sense of urgency created. So you will have to learn to stand up in a positive manner, in a diplomatic manner, and ensure that you politely say no when you know that certain situations are not as urgent, or certain tasks are not as urgent as the perception is being built or trying to be built about that. The final point is for leaders. So I observe many leaders like to create that fake sense of urgency to ensure that their teams complete their tasks at the earliest. Now every leader needs to realize like how they value their own well-being. You also need to understand that the team members' well-being is also vital. Creating this artificial pressure or this fake sense of urgency would lead to a lot of issues whereby the well-being of your team members would get hampered. So you need to create a culture whereby there's actual urgency rather than fake urgency which is portrayed or which is demonstrated. Because for any leader and a part of any team, the fake urgency is going to take a toll on your team members and the overall happiness of your team as well. So these are the 5 steps in terms of managing or dealing with a fake sense of urgency. The first, differentiate between what is urgent, important, and not important. The second point is do not be reactive. The third point is learn to prioritize. The fourth point is also learn to say no in a proper and polite manner as per your discretion, or when you think that a certain task may not be that urgent, especially when it comes from a superior or your boss, or for that matter a senior peer. And last, however not least, for your leaders or for leaders in general, please ensure that we create a culture of actual sense of urgency rather than that of fake sense of urgency. So with these 5 points or actionables, I am sure we can deal with this scenario of managing fake sense of urgency very effectively and very impactfully. Thank you very much for your time.